ASU recruiting is going quiet. The rest of the Big 12 is heating up. But should ASU be worried? Probably.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Richie Bradshaw, your friend, your guide, your host for all thing Sun Devils, from the gridiron to hardwood and everything in between. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. On today's agenda, ASU recruiting is winding down for the summer. Did they fall short of those expectations? Starting off the show with that, the Big 12 rivals are getting hot on the recruiting trail. Is ASU going to get passed up by them? And what is causing ASU to spiral? Should they be worried? All that coming up on today's show. Before we get started, thanks to each and every single one of you for tuning into Locked On Sun Devils to make us your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. So ASU opened up recruiting to start the year. They opened up with pretty good status. I mean, they already went into the new calendar year with Jake Fette, four-star quarterback. He is the prized possession of this recruiting cycle, and he is continuing to stack momentum. He is currently, according to 24/7, their 105th ranked player in the nation, the number 8 quarterback overall, and the number 17 player in the state of Texas. He is a 92 on their ranking, which is a 4-star. For their composite, he's climbing quite a bit. He is the 76th overall recruit. He is the 7th quarterback in the nation, and he is the 10th overall recruit in the state of Texas, a 9.629. Now, once you get into that 9.8 range, that's when you're teetering on that 5-star status. So Fette's not that far off. And I do stand firm that there is a chance he can earn 5-star status. I know a lot of people are, half step in, half step out on whether or not that will be able to happen for a variety of reasons. But I do think that there's a real chance that Fette can earn that status, especially with the way he played last year. Like he was playing out of his mind. So they've got him. They go into the year with him, and they're able to stack some guys. They have landed several 4-star players. You have running back Carde Mack. You have edge rusher Julian Hugo, and you have tight end Hayden Vercher. Like, there is a core here, and it is the most 4-stars that ASU has landed in a single class in the Kenny Dillingham era. But you had other guys too. And we'll talk about them a little later on in the show when we talk about why ASU may need to rethink their strategy when it comes to recruiting. But the momentum has certainly cooled off. The last commit that they had was June 26th. That was 3-star defensive end Mickey Williams. Here's the thing. They had 4 commits in June, 3 in May, 6 in April. That's a drop-off, right? You had by far your most success in April. And keep in mind, in April is when you had a decommitment from Israel Briggs. He had committed back in February, I believe. And then last month in June, you had a decommitment from Neil and Scott. Both those guys 4-stars. Again, we'll talk about them more on the show. But the recruiting is certainly just dropping off right now, and there's really not much left out there. There's 3 kids remaining that have not 4-star status, warm status on 24/7, which means that ASU is in the hunt for them. You've got 4-star tight end Landen Miree, you've got 3-star defensive lineman Marcus Almada, and you have 3-star corner athlete Razjon Duncan. Outside of that, your class is just about winding up. You've got 17 commits in total. 4 of them are 4-stars. So you do have some high-profile guys in here in case there's anyone upset that ASU does not have that, that's not true. They do have some big name kids in here. They just have missed out on a lot of guys. And you had decommitments from 2 other 4-star players, and you're missing out on some 4-star players. Like they were in the hunt for Jamarian Carlton. He is not going to ASU. They were in the hunt for Devin Fitzgerald. He is not going to ASU. There was a lot of 4-stars that ASU was in the hunt for, several guys that I felt pretty positive about, and that just didn't come to be. You're not going to land everyone. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm trying to say. But ASU has lost momentum. Like that's just kind of where they're at right now. So there's very few targets left that have that warm status. And at the end of the day, warm status doesn't mean everything. There is intrinsic value to it, especially because Landen Miree, 4-star tight end, he was originally receiving a crystal ball to Florida State. That has been flipped to ASU. And if you were paying attention to the podcast, I have not wavered on my belief that Miree is going to commit to Arizona State. When he had received the crystal ball to Florida State, I was puzzled and I said, maybe not, but I firmly believed that ASU was going to land him. He is going to be committing on Friday, and I feel very, very good he is committing to ASU. The other 2 guys, Marcus Almada, he's committing tomorrow. He's projected to go to UCLA. And Razjon Duncan doesn't have a commitment date. He's projected to go to Washington. But you are landing another 4-star, so that would give you 5. And it's another tight end, which just continues to prove that Jason Mons, your tight ends coach, is by far the best recruiter on this team. Not that the other guys are slacking at all. He's just on another level. So is it panic time? I threw that out in the beginning of the show. And what I said, in case you heard me, because I kind of whispered it to myself, I said probably. Here's the thing. When I say it's probably time to panic, I'm more referring to the way that everyone else in the conference is catching up and building insane momentum. When it comes to ASU, I'm not worried. I'm bummed because this class had a lot more potential. Now, what I will say is if Israel Briggs doesn't decommit, I do not think that Landen Miree is committing. Israel Briggs, much higher ranked. He's going to Miami now, but you are replacing him. The rest, like losing Nayland Scott, that's a big blow. That was a really tough blow, especially because he was a wide receiver for the team. And ASU is probably going to lose a handful of receivers next year as well. Not as much as this year, but they are going to lose some guys. So I wouldn't call it panic time for ASU recruiting. I call it a pause. They're not out on guys. And there's a chance that, a very good chance, mind you, that Landen Miree is going to commit on Friday. That will give ASU another boost. That'll get their class to 18 players. That will get them 5 4-star players. Now, this varies on your websites, obviously, but I think by the end of the year of the high school year, that majority of these guys will be near consensus 4-stars. That should be the case for Hayden Vercher and Carde Mack. We will see with Julian Hugo, and we will see with Landen Miree. Jake Fette is just flat out a 4-star. It's not time to panic when it comes to ASU recruiting. It could be time to panic for the rest of the Big 12 because, again, they're cleaning up on the trail right now. We're going to talk about that next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's talk about our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing right now, whether you're baseball under the lights, golf on the green, high-stakes soccer action, whatever that might be. FanDuel is the best way to keep every game more interesting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburnt on the beach, or you can join them and still get sunburned because you can track this app on your phone with a little widget that just pops up and lets you know what's going on. It keeps it fresh. There's daily promotions, fun ways to bet. It's easy to use. There's fast payouts. There's even regular season games that may not be paying attention to, but now you're paying attention to them. Same game parlays, all sorts of good stuff. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets when, not if, your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thanks, as always, for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils and make us your first listen of the day. And a shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. So I don't think it's time to panic for ASU recruiting, but I do think it's time to take a serious look at the way the rest of the conference is recruiting right now. Because at one point in time, ASU was first in recruiting in the conference. Now, they've been in a dogfight with Kansas. Kansas has had several players commit to their program. They were leading the conference at one point with their commitments. They've lost at least one guy for sure. I feel like it's been more than that. But bottom line is that Kansas has just been recruiting at a very, very, very good level right now. And it needs to be noted. But they're getting caught up by. And the teams that are catching up to them are building crazy momentum. BYU, Texas Tech, TCU are now your top three teams. Kansas number 4 and ASU is 5th. They've dropped down to 5th. There's a chance they will drop down more. I know that sucks to hear. Believe me, as someone that absolutely loves this stuff, that's not what I want to see, but it's a reality that we're facing right now. BYU and Texas Tech, got to talk about their momentum because they are as hot as anyone in the Big 12 right now. BYU, in case you missed it, landed 5-star quarterback Ryder Lyons last week. He's going on a mission. I think that's like pretty much confirmed. There may be a chance he doesn't, but I'm pretty sure he's going on a mission. He is Church of Latter-day Saints, and he's not going to be there for 2026. So he will be there for 2027, but a 5-star is a 5-star. And a 5-star quarterback has a lot of value. A lot of value. There's another team that landed a 5-star quarterback that we're going to talk about a little later. And then Texas Tech just added a 5-star offensive tackle in Felix Ojo, and they plucked him from Texas, like the Texas Longhorns, who were projected to land Ojo, and they've been one of the best recruiting programs in the nation this year. They have an insane class that's only going to continue getting better, more than likely. But they plucked Ojo from them. And it comes out like, oh, they paid him $5 million, and people gave him slack. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. That's just, that is the way it is in today's college football world. Locked On College Football host Spencer McLaughlin would tell you, oh no, you're mad at them for spending money and trying to put together a good football team. Yeah, I think that's the way that you got to look at it. You can cry and whine and be upset about it, but if you have the resources, then use your resources, and that's what Texas Tech is doing. Remember, I said there was a team that already had a 5-star quarterback. Oh, it's Houston. Houston, really, really interesting. They're outside of the top 10 right now in Big 12 recruiting, and that's going to change. First of all, 5-star quarterback Keyshawn Henderson, consensus top 5 quarterback. I've seen places that at least previously had him as the number 1 quarterback in next year's recruiting cycle. He has shut down his recruitment. I hope that's the case. If for no other reason, then it really sucks when you see a guy shut down his recruiting and then flip, a la Bryce Underwood from LSU to Michigan, although it was funny for him to leave LSU. Neither here nor there. They've got Keyshawn Henderson. Do you realize that they're still in the hunt for some other big name kids? They're currently projected as the favorites for 4-star wide receiver / athlete. That's what they're called. Paris Melvin Jr., 4-star. There's your number 1 receiver. They have warm status for 3 other players. Running back Davian Grace, wide receiver Jaden Warren, and linebacker Lake Leon. I hope I didn't butcher that. My apologies if I did. Graves. With Warren and Graves, they each have warmer status. If you land Warren, you are giving Keyshawn Henderson 2 4-star receivers with him and with Paris Melvin Jr. You may be adding a 4-star running back there as well. And suddenly this Willie Fritz offense is going to go from not that great to, oh, we might need to talk about them as one of the better and certainly younger ones in the conference. I think you're going to see Houston skyrocket, which is funny because I just made fun of them not too long ago for having an overrated class because of Keyshawn Henderson. That may not be the case for very much longer. And if it does, then I'll eat my words and I will apologize because, gotta have that. Gotta have that not responsibility. I don't know. Whatever. Other teams are still building strong momentum, though. Kansas is still staying strong. They still are building their class. TCU is staying strong. They have a bunch of 4-stars, and they're still in the hunt for a lot of 4-stars. Arizona. This is the one that ASU fans are freaking out about, and U of A fans are going buck wild over it, which is funny to me. But they are heating up. They just got their own 4-star quarterback. They are number 6 in recruiting right now. They're right behind ASU. They are looking to jump them. And I'm not saying they do, but I'm not saying they don't. My question, and this is why I say it's funny, is your head coach, Brent Brennan, is on the hot seat. You, U of A fans, want him on the hot seat. So if/when he gets fired, there's a good chance that recruiting class is gone. It happens. I mean, take a look at your recruiting class from last year. You lost your 4-star quarterback, Damon Williams. You lost several other players. You lose your star running back, Jonah Coleman, to the transfer portal. You lose one of your top corners, Ephesian Prysock, to the portal. You just lost Decario Davis to the portal. Like that coaching staff is volatile. If you want them gone, then they're gone, but just know you're going to lose the guys. If you're willing to hang on with Brennan, maybe he does hold on to him. But, we'll wait and see. West Virginia has 23 commits, the most commits in the Big 12. Pretty impressive. Baylor's in the hunt. They are right there for several 4-star players. They are currently crystal balled to get 4-star receiver Jordan Clay. And Baylor is going to finish strong, for sure. That's a lot of teams that are looking good right now. ASU 5th. Arizona has a chance to hop them. West Virginia, I don't know if they do, but they got 23 kids, and Rich Rod is a good recruiter. Rich Rodriguez is an underrated recruiter. He may be able to help them out. Baylor, I would not be surprised if Baylor hopped ASU. I think that there's a lot left for Baylor to capitalize on before things really wind down for them. It's a different world than we lived in just a few months ago. It's a very different world where ASU was ranking supreme. They're 5th, and they may be dropping lower. And that is affecting the perception that people have of ASU's recruiting class right now. And it does affect the perception that people have about ASU being able to keep up in the Big 12. I just mentioned it, that you shouldn't be worried or panic about ASU cooling down recruiting, but you could, and I would understand if you were to panic or be worried about the rest of the Big 12. I would say that it's alarming. I would tell you that you should look at the landscape and you should go, wow, we were running recruiting. What happened? Why did this thing slow down so much? And we'll talk about that in a second. But it's not fun to see. And suddenly a recruiting cycle that went really good that has cooled off tremendously is becoming a huge story in Tempe. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are worried about it. You check message boards, you check Twitter and Facebook and all sorts of comments. You talk to fans individually. There are people, and justifiably, I would say justifiably so, that are worried that ASU recruiting is significantly falling off and the rest of the Big 12 is significantly catching up. It's also worth noting that ASU is losing a lot of players next year. There's a lot of seniors on this team, and they potentially could be losing some next level guys. You could see Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, Kanye Udo and CJ Fight and maybe Keith Abney and Javen Robinson and Xavier Alford hop into the pros. That's a lot of players on top of all the seniors that you're losing. So ASU is needing a really, really good recruiting class. It is a really, really good recruiting class. They're just getting passed right now, and that's causing the perception to change and dramatically shift right now. So the quiet summer, it stands out that much more because of the way that the rest of the conference is recruiting. Does ASU need to find a new approach to holding on to this guy? And is the policy for no visits really taking a toll? That's coming up next on the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Sun Devils to make us your first listen of the day. A shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. If you're enjoying listening to me talk to you about recruiting, then let me tell you that you need to go and check out our Locked On Portal podcast with Brian Smith, the recruiting expert with insider information. I've talked to him several times. We'll be talking to him again very soon. Definitely go and check out the show if you want to stay up to date with recruiting, because recruiting is amazing. Speaking of which, ASU recruiting started amazing and it really cooled off. How can ASU prevent this from happening? The biggest thing that a lot of people go to, and we've talked about this previously, I'm pretty sure a whole podcast dedicated to the no visits rule. So I'm not going to focus this entire segment on it. We are going to touch on it. If you're interested in more of what I had to say, then you'll have to go back and check out that episode, make it your second listen of the day. And then check out Locked On the Portal for sure. If you are unaware, just a Reader's Digest version of this, ASU has a no visits policy, which means that after you commit to Arizona State, verbally, like you put on Twitter and everything, locked in, going to ASU, this, that, and the other, all the cool graphics and edits that people make. If you take visits after that, you are not going to play at Arizona State. Like, that offer is essentially off the table. It's like, well, best of luck to you. But, we want guys that are all in on this program, and we have guys that are all in. Jake Fette committed last September. He has not taken visits anywhere. This is something I did touch up on the show too, on the previous show, because there was a lot of worry for a while that Jake Fette was posting about offers that he got. Even after committing to ASU, he was like, oh, I got an offer from LSU, so blessed. And people were worried about that. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with receiving offers. But this staff does have a problem with taking visits. I'm not totally opposed to it. There's some drawbacks for sure. But they have had 2 decommits and high-profile decommits. We talked about him earlier. Tight end Israel Briggs, who at the time of his decommitment was the top-ranked player in ASU's class. And then recently, 4-star receiver Nayland Scott. Briggs is committed to Miami after a very interesting following events for his decommitment. And Nayland Scott flipped his commitment to Nebraska shortly after taking a visit to them. Those are high-profile transfers, and those are pass catchers for an offense that is starting to really find its identity and its groove. Even if Sam Leavitt does declare next year, Jake Fette's coming in. And we can't forget about Cam Dyer, who is going to be recovering from an ACL surgery, who is also going to be ready, 4-star quarterback. Like, ASU has quarterbacks prepared behind the scenes for Sam Leavitt's eventual departure, if that's after this season or if it's in 2 years. They have stuff ready to go. So you would like to have the cupboard stocked with weapons, and they do, but you don't want to see the guys decommit, especially high-profile guys. That's tough. And the reason they decommitted is because they took visits. This is why I say stick with the policy. To me, if a kid is still looking around after making a verbal commitment, there's already a chance they're going to decommit, right? But if they are looking around knowing ASU's policy, even if ASU didn't revoke the offer, right? There's just a very, very good chance that they are not all in with ASU. I am not calling out these kids. That is not what I'm trying to say. I am not trying to say that what a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid is doing is wrong. If you listen to my show, then you know that I am a huge proponent of travel the country, see as many campuses as you can go to, speak to as many coaching staffs as you can go to, especially if you're a high profile kid, the 4 stars and the 5 stars. Take your time, really explore this. It's the one time that you're going to do it, because going to the pros, they're selecting you. You don't get to choose where you go to in the NFL, but you do have an opportunity to choose where you go to for college. And college is going to be the next 3 years of your life. You need to make sure you're happy at it. Yeah, the transfer portal is an option, but why use the transfer portal when you can just nail it the first time? So I say, and I continue to say, take your time, have fun. I'd be telling my kid that. If my kid was somehow a 5 star and they clearly did not have the genes that I have to be an athlete, I would tell him, take your time. Now, I'm obviously steering him to Arizona State, but if he's got offers on the table from all sorts of different places around the country, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, USC, take your time. Go take those visits. That's fun. It's the only time you're ever going to do it. But when you make a verbal commitment, you are committed. You are only as good as your word. So that's where I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm on board with this, because that needs to be something that is valuable to this program. And Kenny Dillingham has been very apparent on that since day one, since day zero. 2023 class, you're committed or you're not. 2024, you're committed or you're not. 2025, you're committed or you're not. So with 2026, that's not changing. This is not the first time ASU has lost high profile kids either. They've lost 4 stars previously from this policy. They've lost several recruits previously from this policy. So I appreciate that they continue to stand firm on what they believe. They're not wavering. They're not saying, oh, we don't want to lose those guys. Is adaptability needed? I don't know, because it's not a coincidence that it is the 4 star kids, and ASU has not landed a 5 star yet. They will land one at some point in time, I promise you, in the Kenny Dillingham era. But when you eventually land your 5 star, if they take another visit, are you willing to let that 5 star go? What if this is a top 10 recruit in the country who commits to you and they want to go and visit another school or something? Are you going to be willing to say, yep, see you, man? Like, we know that you're a program defining player, but we're not interested. That's where you may want to look at adaptability. But again, I don't know. This feels much more like a case by case basis than it is softening a rule to me. And we're not going to find out for a while. We're going to wait until ASU lands that 5 star kid. But I mean, for what it's worth, Jake Fette, super duper high profile, he's bought into the system. So that tells me that you don't necessarily need to have leniency just because the guy is high profile. Because Jake Fette, top 10 quarterback, consensus across all your recruiting boards. Yeah, he's all in on the ASU. So it can happen for sure. Also worth noting, we have that salary cap, quote, salary cap, that's coming in very, very soon, where NIL is not going to control the sport. And that is one of the things that has really impacted the sport. It's one of the things that Texas Tech has really been able to utilize, and to their advantage, and very much props to them. If you have the resource, then use the resource. I am not the person who's going to tell you shame on them, because that's just not the case. If ASU had oil money, I would encourage them to do the same thing. But you are going to have the $20.5 million that is coming in for next year and for the next 10 years, thanks to the settlement for the NCAA. You are committing $2 million of that to baseball and softball. So you only have $18.5 million compared to the remainder of the country. It's still a lot of money. And it means that NIL is not going to be the definitive final factor in whether or not a kid is going to commit to your program and stay committed to your program. That's good level playing field for ASU. That also helps you kind of back off on the policy of, well, does ASU need to stop having their no visit policy? Well, not necessarily, because ASU is still going to have the assets to keep these kids around. They're going to make their own decision, though. You can't control these kids. They're not puppets. They're not marionettes. It is going to help out, though. And you have the recruiting by their peers. Remember, Jake Fette visited the program. He was recruiting guys when he was out here. Hayden Vercher did the same thing. They are constantly on Twitter. They see someone puts out, oh, I'm considering ASU. I just took a visit to ASU. Who floods their comments? Guys who are committed to ASU, players who are already at ASU, and they're like, you got to come here. We want you here. That stuff matters too, and it's because they buy into what Kenny Dillingham is putting out there. It's about being aggressive, and it's about maintaining your identity no matter what. And that's what ASU is doing. And that's where I applaud them for it. So yeah, it does stink that the rest of the Big 12 is catching up. But ASU is building smart. They're building the right way. At least they're building the right way according to what Kenny Dillingham believes. You can disagree, and you can say that the visits policy is BS or it's extreme or whatever. And you are very, very valid in believing so, because there's a lot of people who are not a fan of that policy, understandably so. But at least from the culture standpoint, there's your word, ladies and gentlemen, culture. At least you're being consistent. And that's one of the most important things that ASU can be doing right now, is remaining consistent. You say don't visit programs, they visit programs, they're gone. I think that's the best thing you could do. Could you be more flexible? Maybe, but does that jeopardize the identity that you have firmly established? Keep in mind, 2026 is their 4th recruiting cycle. So when you get to 2027, are you going to back off on your 5th cycle? Because I feel like at that point, you're kind of committed to the bit. But I don't know. What I do know is we are just about done with the 2026 recruiting class. Not completely done. I think they're landing Landen Miree on Friday. And I think that we should see, hopefully, at least one more. I'd like to see us get our class to 20. But we're nearing the end, and the rest of the Big 12 heated up big time. Should we be worried? I'm not worried about ASU recruiting. I'm keeping an eye out for the rest of the Big 12 and how they're recruiting. But things are going to change in the future. Where are you guys at? Are you worried about ASU's recruiting? Are you worried about the way the rest of the Big 12 is recruiting? And do you think ASU is going to significantly slow down moving forward? Let me know in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter at Richie Brads36. You can find the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. Thanks as always for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. And a special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Don't forget to hit subscribe wherever you're getting your shows. Turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. You guys are the best. Lots of stuff still coming up. A lot of sit downs and interviews. Lots of crossovers coming up as we near the start of the season. Very, very exciting stuff. Now has never been a better time to subscribe to Locked On Sun Devils. I will catch you next time. And until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.